Alright, now we are ready. Sorry, that was an accident. I'll click on something. Didn't mean to do that. Let's see who we got. Just we're gonna wait and see if we got anybody popping in here in a minute. We got a few things to talk about. Let's see if some people get in here. No, I guess I'll just talk to myself and do a video anyways. There we go. Yep, just wait to see if we got anybody coming in. If you're in, you're watching, jump in the chat, say something. Yeah, I like that camera view. Pay attention to my background. Alright, y'all check out this. Alright, there we go. What's going on, people? I'm finally getting some stuff going. How's everybody doing tonight? Waiting for a couple people to pop in. If you're watching, let me know. If you're in the chat, say something. I have to excuse the stuff behind me a little bit. We got some stuff going on here. Mr. Millsy, thank you for that like. How you doing, sir? Just gonna try to give it a minute and see if we can get some people popping in. Trying a few new things out today. Hopefully talk about cricket here in a minute. That's good. That's good to know. What's up, Junior? How you doing? Thank you for the like. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. We got a lot of stuff going on, and that's kind of why I missed a few streams, and I may or may not miss a few more coming up. But so far, so good. Just like I said, trying to give it a few minutes, see if anybody else pops in, so we can start talking about cricket. If not, people can watch later. It is what it is. Playing around with a few different things, a couple different camera angles, and a few other little different things today. Junior, thank you for that, bud. That's huge. Thank you for those stars. Yeah, I've been working on the house. Yeah, we kind of are too. Yeah, I'm not really going to get in depth in it on here, but we got a few things going on we're working on. Just kind of playing around. Trying a few different things out. Like easy camera angle switches. Camera there, camera there. I'm messing with those. Yeah, we gotta start, but so darts for Alzheimer's. We are starting to plan our June event. Let's like back just a little more. Punch in the face. So we're still trying to figure out a few things. All right, there we go. Yeah, I know I'm still ugly no matter what side of the camera. What's going on, Keith? Thank you for that like. Jacob, thank you for the like. Sarah, thank you for the like. Yeah, I know. But it is what it is. But yeah, I'm gonna start off with darts for Alzheimer's first. So we're starting to plan our June event. I put out a post yesterday looking for, anybody wants to help, let me know. So you can send me a message here, send Darts for Alzheimer's a message, and we can go from there. So I keep forgetting about the camera angles. I got one in front of me, and I'm looking at the other one. Um, but this year we have decided our longest day stream is going to be on June 21st, and that is the longest day, and it's also on a Saturday. And how I try to figure out every year how I'm gonna top the previous year. This year's gonna be a little different. I'm not promising, but I'm gonna shoot for a 24-hour stream. Do as much as I can. All right, Junior, real quick. I have a question. Everybody think on it. Do you notice the difference when you're constantly throwing steel tip, doing pretty good with your averages, and all of a sudden you start breaking out the soft tip, start playing soft tip for a while, and you go back to steel tip, and it feels like your darts are all over the place. Yeah, Junior, I do get that occasionally. It takes me a little bit sometimes to switch back and forth between the two, but I'm trying to actually play both of them consistently, so it's not as hard for me because I don't spend a lot of time on one and a lot of time on the other. Mr. Todd Turner, thank you for that like and share, buddy. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's my view on that. But it's just my view. But anyways, darts for Alzheimer's. Um, this year, my longest day stream, I'm going to attempt a 24-hour stream. That's a big attempt. And the other thing that I'm going to do is every probably 3 hours, I'm going to switch boards between my 15 inch, my 13 inch, and steel tip. So it's going to be a little bit more bouncing around, but I'm trying to top what I did last year because last year I had to top what I did the year before, and so on and so forth. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm still looking for people for races. I've got 3 people that are interested that said they wanted to race me. I'm still looking for at least 1 or 2 more people to race. And as you know, we do special races every year for Darts for Alzheimer's. We do a raffle prize for that particular special stream, the whole 9 yards. Same thing as last year. Excuse me. And then, so yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking at now. Things may change. I may do a little bit more, depending. We'll see what's going on with that. But so far, I want to set up at least 4 races and then my longest day stream. So if anybody's interested in helping, I know John, I know you're in whatever board, but you all know if I'm throwing on the 13 inch, you all don't have to be on a 13 inch. That's just what I like to throw on sometimes. But if anybody's interested in that, or if anybody is interested in donating any raffle prizes or anything like that, just send myself at Mod Frog Darts or Darts for Alzheimer's a message. Let us know. All right, so I wanted to talk a few things about cricket tactics tonight. So I've come up with a little intro, more or less, for it, for what I wanted to talk about. But we all play cricket. We all like cricket, and we all know there's a lot of different tactics, tips, tricks that people use. So I'm going to talk about what I like to use, what I like to do. And I like to use a system. It's called mod. It's basically my three top rules of cricket. It's the system that's mod. So what happened here? There we go. And basically each letter stands for something a little different, and I'm going to kind of touch on each thing, and then show a few different scenarios and what I would do. The other big thing about tactics in cricket is my tactics will vary depending on who I'm playing and if I know how they play. If I know how they play, I'll actually vary my tactics right off the bat. So the first letter for mod stands for more points. You cannot lose a cricket game if you have more points. Just the way it is. That's the whole point of a cricket game is to have more points. That one's pretty simple. Most people realize that and know that one. Now, O actually stands for Aki because a lot of people stand still, they stand rigid, they throw from the same point on the Aki when you could have a dart that on steel tip hits at a bad angle or soft tip it kind of bows down a little bit and it could be blocking, if you hit right above the triple, could be blocking the triple. Well, you have that whole line. You can go side to side. And a lot of times I've been doing it more recently and I've been finding myself moving side to side and I've actually been able to get a second and or a third dart in that triple that I need to hit. So that's why I included that one in there. And the last one, exactly, you've never lost a cricket game scoring too many points. That's why that's number one. More points is number one. And the last one is one that is most of us know, but I still find a lot of people, especially people that are newer to the sport and newer to the game of cricket, don't realize it, is D stands for don't follow. And what I mean by follow is if you're down in points, don't close stuff that your opponent already has closed. And here, I'll actually give you an example of what I mean. If I'm here, my opponent's here, and he's got 20s closed, he's got 19s closed, I've got 20s closed, and say he has 38 points. What's going on, Travis? I'm not going to sit there and try to close my 19s. I'm not doing that. That's considered following. If you're behind in points and you're trying to close what your opponent has closed, don't chase. Same thing. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to open up my 18s. I'm going to try to open up my 18s and, maybe hit 2 trips and get 54 points on the board. Sorry, my writing's a little atrocious. I realize that. And then, if I stay ahead my next turn, then I'll go for the 19s. Or I might even go up a little higher on that and try to get some more points on the 18s. But that's what I mean by follow. If you're down in points, don't try to close a house that your opponent has open. You need to open your own house up and start scoring some points on them. And then once you get some points on them, then you can start scoring. Or then you can start closing. I'm sorry, excuse me. But when I play cricket, I break it down into 3 easy, simple things. I break it down into 3, basically, I section the game off into 3 sections. You got your opening, you got your, if you've ever read the book, the article, Thermonuclear Cricket, they call it your opening, your middle, and your end. And they call your opening, usually it's the beginning, middle, and end is what they call it. So they call the beginning when you're either pointing on or you're closing 20s and 19s. And your middle is 18 through 15, and then your bullseye is your end. That's not what I do. When I play, my opening is the very first round that everybody throws. So 6 darts, that's your opening right there. And that opening can make or break your game. How many times have we seen somebody come up that goes first, hits a trip 20, trip 19, and then you just can't catch up after that. You have a hard time catching up after that. What's up, Crowbar? How you doing? So the opening, yeah, Bill, always try to stay up by 1 trip. I'm actually going to get to that here in a little bit. I was going to talk about that too. But that's the other thing. That's kind of where it goes. I'm gonna talk about point battling here in a few minutes. That's kind of where it plays into that. At least, like I said, this is all my experience. This is all what I do. This is not what everybody else does. But if I'm opening, first dart's gonna go at a 20. If I hit a trip 20, second dart more than likely is going at a 20, depending on who I'm playing. Now, if I'm playing somebody that I know can't hit trips a lot, I may throw for a trip 18 on the second dart. But usually it's going to be dart at 20, dart at 20, and then I'll go for another number. Sometimes I'll put all three darts in 20s. If I'm playing somebody like Keith or Millsy or Birdman, I'll try to hit all three darts in the 20 if I'm throwing right off the bat, just because I know what they can do. So when I'm opening, I always go into it knowing what I'm going to do right off the bat. Now, if I'm throwing second, I've got two options if I'm throwing second. Because if they come up and they hit, say they hit like two marks on a 20 and they missed a third dart, I may come up and I may throw at a trip 20 right off the bat, just to close 20s. And a lot of it depends on how I feel. I may not feel confident on my trips right there. I may go to 19s off of two mark. But if they only hit two 20s, I'm going to try to throw for a trip 20. And if I hit a trip 20, great. Second dart will be at a 20. Get me 20 points or 60 points, whatever I hit. But that's basically my two choices on the opening. I'm either trying to close a number and hit points right off the bat if I'm throwing first, or if I'm throwing second. That's my two choices. I see what they throw. I may close their number, or I may go down to 19s. And sometimes if you see, I've done this, and it's very rare that I've done this, but I've actually thrown trip 20, bullseye right on the opening. A lot of people don't like when you throw bullseyes early, but sometimes you do, and there's a reason why I do it. Sometimes I've played with people where it's gotten in their head and actually got them flustered if I hit a bullseye that early. So yeah, after you throw, each person throws two darts or throws three darts, throws a hand. There's your opening. Now the middle I consider anywhere between more or less the opening and then when people go for like the 16-15 bowl. Because a lot of people will try to close off with a 16-15 bowl. So your middle could be a good chunk of the game. It could be anywhere in there. It is what it is. It's the way I play. Now, when it comes to point battles happen. They happen a lot of times right at the beginning, but I've seen a lot of them happen towards the end of it. And I know a lot of people that like Bill and all them are saying, stay one more trip ahead. Travis said stay a trip ahead. That's kind of how I am. I actually know a lot of steel tip players that if they're not 200 points ahead, they're not happy. They're going to still hit points. And to me, I've actually seen that be a downfall to people. That's why I don't constantly hit points and not worry about closing if I'm so far ahead. I'll give you an example. I was playing in Luck of the Draw 2 months ago, something like that. Brizzle, thank you for that like, sir. Murphy, thank you for the like. Travis, thank you for the like. I was playing in Luck of the Draw a couple months ago where I came up, I hit trip 20, I think it was a trip 20, and like a 1 or something like that. I got 20 points on the board. Well, my opponents came up and they hit, he hit trip 19. So my partner went up and he threw a 20, so he hit 20. I think he hit all three single 20s. So then his partner came up and started hitting 19s. And they were pointing on 19s. Well, even when they got the point lead, they were kept pointing on 19s. So my partner and I actually went around the board and we closed everything, including bullseyes, except for 19s because they still kept pointing on 19s. And then by the time that happened, they didn't have time to close the other numbers Because we'd hit like Jesse, thank you for the like. Bill, thank you for the like. Because a lot of times we hit like a trip 18, single 18, 17 or something. We'd hit points and close in the same hand, and they didn't have time to catch up. So yes, you always want to stay ahead in points, and you can never lose a cricket game being behind in points. But don't let points consume you to where you're not paying attention to closing also. Mr. Desmond, thank you for that like and share. What's going on, bud? And usually, like I said, I was going to get into the point battle thing when you all start talking about staying a trip ahead. Usually, and again, a lot of my tactics for me depends on my opponent, how well I know my opponent, and what I'm going to do. If I'm in a point battle and with some people that I play steel tip with, that I may only get to be 2 marks ahead, and I'll still try to close after that. I'll try to break off the point battle and close because they may not be able to hit trips like that. But if I'm playing like somebody like Birdman or something like that, then I'm looking at least 2 trips ahead before I try to close. I'm doing pretty good, Desmond. Just talking about a few things here with cricket right now. So when you want to break off of a point battle is really up to you. See, that's a good thing too, Jesse, and I do use that occasionally, and I actually do tell people to do that. That was another tip I was going to get to towards the end. But always 2 to point, 1 to close. That's Mike Maloney made that real big. And I have used that, but sometimes it's just not feasible. And sometimes I'm trying to get the game done because if I can get the faster I can get a game done, the less chance I have to make a mistake my opponent has to capitalize on it and catch up on it. So ideally, if I could get a game done in 8 or 9 darts, I would try it. But yeah, so I always try to break off my point battle when I feel comfortable. That's kind of what I'm getting at. When I feel comfortable, break off my point battle and try to close the number that they have open. I'm going to try that. Another thing that I like to do, and some people see me do it. I do more steel tip than soft tip, but I'll still do soft tip. Is if I come up on a turn and I'm ahead in points, I'm throwing the 17s, and say I close 17s in 2 darts. I got 1 dart left in hand, and I just close 17s, or I hit a single 17 and a trip 17. I got 1 dart left in hand. That dart 9 times out of 10 will go for the bullseye. I won't go for 16s. I won't go for 15s. If I'm ahead in points, I won't take points off. I won't even point unless it's really close. And the reason why I do that is because if I throw a dart at a bullseye and I hit a bullseye, it doesn't matter whether I hit a single bullseye or double bullseye. I actually gave myself a game-winning out for the next round as long as I stay ahead in points. Because the next round, if they come up and I'm still ahead in points, a trip 16, a trip 15, and then the double bullseye or the single bullseye, whatever I need, will win the game. Because that's my biggest thing when playing cricket is I try to win the game the fastest I can, because the longer the game goes, the better chance I am going to have of making a mistake and somebody capitalizing on it. And I also throw differently, say, when I'm throwing on my stream against you guys and when I'm throwing in a tournament. When I'm throwing in a tournament, I'll hit a lot more points off the bat than I do throwing against you guys. So it's everything to me about cricket is how you feel comfortable playing. And sometimes another thing I was going to bring up is my board management, because sometimes I'm a little weird. A lot of people, they'll come up on the opening trip 20, they'll throw for a 19, try to hit trip 19. I'll go trip 20, go for an 18 because the 18's close, because I don't have to travel all the way down the board to hit the 19 when I can move over just a little bit to hit the 18. And that's why a lot of times when y'all see me play, if I'm ahead in points, I hit a trip 19. I'll throw for 17. If I hit a trip 17, I'll go over to 15. I won't even go up to 18 yet, just because it's only slightly further over as opposed to traveling all the way up the board. So when you see me play, my board management's a little bit different than some people's because it's easier for me. The less I have to move, the more accurate I'm going to be. Uh, Anybody got any questions, comments, or anything so far? See Jesse's in there commenting. Yeah, if y'all have anything to say, jump in, say it. It's pretty much just kind of talking and just like I said, I'm just explaining how I play cricket. That's all it is. But I'm gonna touch back on the very beginning of this, the mod in the middle of the screen. Those are my biggest points when I'm playing cricket. My biggest things I try to do when I'm playing cricket. What's going on, Mr. Hightower? How you doing? Thank you for that like and share. Is you can never win, you can never lose a game with more points. I always try to use my full Aki if I need to. You don't follow, you don't chase. Excuse me. And those are two of those three things I seem to see a lot of people not doing. And it's not, I mean, most of you guys have been playing for a while. Most of you guys know. But a lot of newer players, especially with the follow, that's a big thing is they follow. Like you said, always try to stay at least a trip or two ahead. Jesse likes the strategy of always throw two darts for point and one dart to close. And like I said, that's a viable strategy, but sometimes it's just not working. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. I've also seen a lot of people get angry when you throw at a bullseye with what they consider too early. And anytime you feel comfortable taking out a bullseye, that's one less you got to worry about at the end. Now, yes, that's the thing about chasing, Jesse, is if you have the point lead, you have the option to chase to get the closes. And I do that quite often. I mean, a lot of y'all see me do that. But that's only if you have the point lead. When I'm talking about don't follow, I'm talking about if you're down in points, don't follow. Because a lot of times, if you're up in points, you have to chase just to get numbers closed. Excuse me. And another thing that a lot of people don't do, and I know I'm real big on this, is if you have a dart that's, say, right above a trip and it's a total blocker, there's no way around it. If you have to, don't be scared to try for another number. Try for another house. Just, you have a better chance of hitting an open trip than you do something that's 3/4 of the way blocked, halfway blocked. A lot of times I'll try to throw through it. Sometimes it works. Majority of the time it doesn't. So if I can't move around the Aki and get that opening, I'll take a breath for a second and I'll try a different number. Never too early. That's the way I look at it. It's never too early to take a bull, because at the end of a lot of games, especially in steel tip, at the end of a lot of games, it's everybody racing to see who can get the bulls done first. And if you take one or two out early, then that's just that much closer you are. I've had people in steel tip where I've taken a bull on my second turn or third turn, and they got angry with me because I threw the bull too early. It's a game. There's no rules saying you have to go in that order. You can go any order you want in those numbers. But I mean, this is just kind of I'm going to do a lot more in depth video on this as opposed to a live stream. But this is just kind of a introduction to it, trying to talk about it a little bit with y'all, see what y'all think, see if there's any trips or tips or tactics that you guys use that might be a little out there that most people don't use. Let people try. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, Frogg Talk is usually I talk about something for about a half hour, then we just kind of discuss whatever afterward. But first time you've heard about somebody getting mad about hitting a bull too early? I've had it happen to me a couple times. Steel tip play. A lot of that happens in steel tip though. Steel tip players are real weird when it comes to that. I think we had one tournament. It was the luck of the draw a few months. It was in August because it was the last luck of the draw I went to before WADA. I thought we had 20s closed. Us and opponents had 20s closed. Had 19s closed. We had 18s closed. No, we had 20s and 19s closed. Our opponents had 20s and 19s closed, and we were like 40 points ahead. And it was my turn, so I went through. I threw one dart at 18. I hit a trip 18. I threw the next two darts at a bullseye, and I actually hit a double bullseye and a single bullseye to close my bullseyes out early. And they threw a fit about it. And after that, it actually ruffled their feathers enough. They maybe got 3 or 4 marks the rest of the match because they were irritated by it, I guess. Sometimes stuff like that gets on your opponent's skin, and it actually does better for you. That's why I like doing stuff like that sometimes. So yeah, that's my take on cricket and why I do what I do. Anything else? Speaking of cricket, I'm thinking about doing a special Darts for Alzheimer's cricket stream in June. Just cricket, just for the fun of it. More or less, yeah, more or less, Jesse. I got them. I got them irritated enough where they got out of their element, and they got mad about that. But they got mad at me for doing that. It's a really weird thing. All right, Brizzle. I usually go trip 20, jump to 18s, and down to 15s. See, I do that a lot too. That's part of my board. That's what I was talking about board management. Is if I hit a trip 20 on the opening, and I'm playing somebody that you know that won't hit trips all the time. I'll hit a trip 20. I'll hit a trip 18. If I hit both those, sometimes I'll drop down to 15. Just because it's a simple over, simple down. It's not going from here down to here, back up to here. Sometimes I do start closing all the numbers on the bottom. It's the way it is. See, that's what I'm saying is a lot of people. I find it more in steel tip what you're talking about though, but a lot of people get upset if you don't go out of what they believe the order should be. There is no rule that says you. I've actually played games just for the fun of it where I started at the bullseye and worked my way back up to 20s, just for the fun of it. There's no rules in the order. You play how you feel comfortable. And with my board management, I feel comfortable just making those little swings as opposed to up, down, up, down. And like I said before, I've been known to throw a bullseye right off the bat, right on my first opening. Just if I feel comfortable, depending on who I'm playing, that's what I do. But I'm the same way. A lot of times, if I'm on the bottom, I'll go 19, I'll go 17, I'll go over to 15, or I'll go like 17 to 15 instead of 17 to 16. Now, one of my favorite shots is the corner shots where you hit trip 16, trip 15 bowl, but that's a big swing for me, and I try not to do that if I can actually avoid it. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it on my take on cricket. It's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. More points, use my whole hockey, and don't follow. So, anybody else got anything? How's everybody doing? Any other questions or anything you want to clarification on or go over? Just kind of sitting here having fun, playing with cameras. But yeah, I'm a steel tip player, so a lot of my tactics come in steel tip. I'm evolving my soft tip game over the past couple of years, and I'm still taking a steel tip style approach to it. I've Most of y'all don't realize I've only been playing soft tip for 4 years now, and I've only been playing steel tip for I think 6 years now. And it wasn't until probably my second year streaming that I've actually got into it, like, you know, pretty. I've taken it a lot more seriously. Yeah, the coffin shot. I do that every now and then. I like doing it. It's fun, but it's just one of those things. It's a little harder to do. I still think my one of my highlights of playing cricket, and I actually lost, was this past year at WADA. I had to play. I played Leonard Gates first round at WADA in cricket. It was double. It was doubles, but he was one of the opponents. And my partner and I actually we we lost. We lost 2 games straight, but we hung with them. We didn't lose by a huge margin. I think the biggest margin we lost by was like 60 points, maybe give or take. A good steel tip player is a great soft tip player. Yeah, but it's not the other way around. At least I don't believe it is. You're right, Brizzle. It does upset a person when you hit that coffin shot, and it does make you feel good about it. But yeah, I think a steel tip player makes a good soft tip player, but a soft tip player does not necessarily make a good steel tip player. And I mean, some of the reasons why are obvious. The trips, doubles, bullseyes are smaller on steel tip, but especially when it comes to cricket, is you have to adjust your cricket tactics and how you play cricket depending on whether you're playing steel tip or soft tip. And soft tip players have a hard time adjusting what they're so used to doing because it's not as easy to hit a trips all the time or to hit stuff like that. The other thing, actually, that brings up another point. The other thing I want to talk about is how does everybody feel about using doubles in cricket, throwing a double. I know, like, if you watch Mike Maloney, he does it all the time, and then Danny Baggish will tell you there's no doubles in cricket. My personal take on it is if you think you can hit it, throw for it. I actually throw, in soft tip, I throw a lot of doubles in cricket just because I feel confident enough to hit them. Now, granted, there is an inherent risk of missing on the outside and wasting a dart, but sometimes it's just one of those shots that you got to take. So, how does everybody else feel about doubles in cricket? You went steel tip to better your soft tip game. Now, a lot of soft tip players do that. Like I said, I started in steel tip, and honestly, the only reason why I even went to soft tip was because during COVID is when I discovered the gram board, and how I discovered the gram board was um, I stumbled across a guy that used to be a local to me that moved to Florida that had shared a gram board streaming page, which happened to be at the time Bullseyes and Brewskis. And then I figured out, wow, I can get a gram board. I can play at home. I can have fun. I can play other people. And that was about the time that Mom Frog and I were also looking for a way to fundraise for Alzheimer's, and so the mixture of the two is how Darts for Alzheimer's kind of came about. You do it all the time. Yeah, when you're good at the moment, throw them doubles. That's what I do. I do probably more often than I should, but I still try it. But that's why I like my 13-inch board, because if I'm playing on a grand board stream, I like my 13-inch board because it's a lot closer to a steel tip board than a regular grand board is, and that's why I stream once a week now on the 13-inch board. And it makes it a little more irritating. Had a little rougher, but it's a lot of fun. If y'all have seen me on Tuesday nights, then you know I play on my 13-inch. All right, Jesse. Thanks for stopping in. Have a good night. Good luck. Throw well. Enjoy that Q soul. Anybody else got anything? If not, then it's probably gonna be about it. Anybody wants to chat for a few minutes? That's good too. We can do that. I actually got to turn my board on and play a little bit. I haven't played for a day or two. I got to start playing a lot more often. I've been taking 3 days off here, a week off there, a couple days off here, and that doesn't help the consistency whatsoever. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, don't forget we are planning. We are starting our planning for Darts for Alzheimer's. So please keep an eye on the Darts for Alzheimer's Facebook page, Mod Frog Darts Facebook page for all that. And thank y'all for your time. Thank you for stopping in, and talk to everybody soon. And don't forget, tomorrow night Birdman Darts is streaming for his normal Friday night stream. I'm doing DC night Saturday night and I'm doing my coffee and cricket Sunday morning. So I hope to see everybody then, and have a good night, and yeah, have fun.